Starting the 5 o'clock hour with a live look outside. The fire weather warnings that were in place yesterday have now expired, but they will be back later today. We're waking up to cooler temperatures and lighter winds this morning, but those strong winds and dry conditions yesterday sparked several wildfires across the area. Some of those fires are still burning this morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Corey Rose.
And I'm Drew Carney. One of those fires is the Hammer Fire burning in El Paso County. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for a number of residents in that area.
Now, at last check, the fire was around 4,200 acres. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj will be joining us with a little bit more coming up in just a moment. But first, we're going to check in with Katie. Katie, we knew that this was a risk going into yesterday.
Yeah, most of Colorado under that red flag warning. And again, you guys, it's another day of high fire danger. Good morning. This Thursday, the winds have calmed a touch in spots, at least over the Denver area. Still very high winds into our northern Front Range mountains, the foothills. This morning, over 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts recorded. And the National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning. This begins at 11 a.m. So strongest winds once again will be this afternoon through evening. All of eastern Colorado, Denver, west into the foothills, gusts down south also upwards of 50 miles per hour possible. So some dangerous fire weather conditions. Not as warm though. Yesterday we hit the 80s. We're expecting highs in the 60s. Increasing clouds, that gusty wind, those gusty winds that is, and some needed moisture. We have shower chances, at least returning to portions of the state. This morning it is dry, not as mild. Temperatures though still in the upper 40s downtown to Central Park, 20s near Leadville and Steamboat Springs, a touch chillier in the mountains, and you'll watch the winds, as you can see here from our forecast, really pick up after about 10 o'clock this morning up near Estes Park, Allens Park, over 50 miles per hour possible there. Gusty as well over the I-25 corridor and Eastern Plains. We get a little break later on tonight through early tomorrow morning, but again, it will stay breezy. So please just avoid any activity that could spark a fire. Danger high with temperatures. You can see 60 degrees by 11 a.m. It's a nice spring day, closer to normal temperatures. We typically do not see highs in the 80s this time of the year, so we're back to the 60s from Greeley, Fort Collins, and cooler in the mountains. Brianna will break down our next chance for picking up some of those showers and just in a bit, but first I'll send it back to you guys, Drew and Corey.
All right, thank you for that, Katie.
All right, so this morning we've been talking about how there has been several fires that popped up yesterday because of those high winds, the low humidity, and really it's just been so dry. Shalima Maharaj is joining us right now live from Genesee this morning, kind of with an overview of all of these fires. You can see why there's been danger. It's windy out there this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can pretty much see my hair is in my face right now just because it's really blowing. It's picking up here and quite cool still this morning where we are. But of course, yesterday we saw, especially with that Hammer Fire and the growth that it achieved, there were a lot of people obviously put on evacuation notice. And we had a number of officials who were going door to door yesterday trying to get people evacuated from areas near the town of Hanover. And the El Paso County Sheriff's Office issued that evacuation notice for people in areas close to the fire that's burning near Hammer Road and Hanover Road. Now, there are also road closures in effect and firefighters continuing suppression efforts, just trying to strengthen those containment lines. But as we know, conditions can change very rapidly, and anyone who's been told to leave has been told basically don't come back until officials say it is safe to do so. Now, the emergency shelter was moved from Hanover Community Church to the local junior and senior high school for families displaced by the fire. Hanover School District 28 had said online that because of the high fire activity in the area, classes will not be in session. It's been an exhausting season for fire crews we know who have constantly been on high alert for those red flag warnings. We spoke to the chief of Castilla County's fire department about what he has experienced on the job.
Oh, we've had some years that were real dry, but this one's shaping up to be drier than any of the others because it's drier earlier than what it's normally. And so the fear is that it's going to be a worse year because it dried up earlier.
Now, Theldon Smith, who you just heard from there, he's been on the job for the last 30 years. And he says that, another thing that really worries him is that farmers really haven't been able to plant this season as much as they normally would. And that's in large part due to the drought. So, of course, they're going to have a lot of fields where there's a lot of weeds growing. So that's one area of concern. Now, officials, meanwhile, when it comes to the Hammer Fire, they say that people impacted by the fire should be ready for an extended evacuation time frame. Updates are going to be posted. This is important. important on peak alerts. In the meantime, homeowners living near Denver, you're also going to need to be on high alert as well, with that windy weather continuing to move in later on today. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you guys in studio.
Shalima, thank you so much for your reporting. Happy Thursday, everyone. 5:05 is your time, and we are taking a live look of Highway 36 this morning near Sheridan Boulevard. So just after Federal and I-25, we do have construction that's happening right now. You're not seeing traffic being impacted by this overnight construction, and that left lane is partially blocked. This is if you're heading eastbound this morning. So again, traffic very light, no roads, no lanes are partially blocked this morning. It's just really that right shoulder where you're seeing crews there on scene. So I do want to switch things over to our main maps, talk about your drive times. Seeing a lot of green on your screen for this Thursday morning, so an easy breezy drive if you're heading from southbound I-25 or really northbound I-25 from 144th down to 76, only about an 8 to 9 minute drive. That Fort Collins, I-25 both directions, and Highway 85 Greeley commute, you are still in the clear.
All right, thank you, Brianna. Getting back to our news headlines here at 5 o'clock. This story developing overnight. Senate leaders took the first steps to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. Lawmakers voted in favor of a budget plan that would fund ICE and Border Patrol, despite pushback from Democrats. Republicans were able to move this through using a process called reconciliation that allowed them to pass it with just a simple majority. Now, keep in mind, DHS could run out of money by the middle of next month, causing TSA and other federal workers to go without pay yet again. The budget proposal now heads to the House for another vote if it does get approval. The plan would provide about $70 billion to fund ICE and Border Patrol for the next 3 years.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was on Capitol Hill yesterday. He's facing questions about his response to the measles outbreak and his record on vaccines. The U.S. has seen more than 4,000 measles cases since 2025, including 1,700 so far this year. 2 children in Texas have also died. Senators from both parties raised concerns about declining vaccination rates. They also question what the federal government is doing to stop the disease from spreading.
Are you taking the position, as your CDC director has taken, that the measles vaccine is vital to keeping American children healthy in this country? Are you taking that position today? That has not been your position.
That's my position. We promote the measles vaccine.
Kennedy also told senators the current outbreak began before he took office and said his department is working to provide clear guidance on vaccines and public health.
That story comes as public health officials here confirmed Colorado's 17th measles case this year. They say a child in Leadville who was not vaccinated tested positive. Health officials also say that child may have exposed people at Mineral 1886 restaurant last Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Students and staff at Lake County High School may have also been exposed on Monday of this week, and patients at St. Vincent's Hospital's emergency department may have been exposed on Tuesday.
Westminster police say a man who was experiencing a mental health crisis died shortly after he was taken into protective custody early yesterday morning. Police say it started when the 23-year-old man's family reported he was in crisis. Once at the home, officers learned he had access to harmful substances, was in imminent danger, and made attempts to harm himself. That's when they put him in protective custody, quote, to prevent further harm. He was then taken to a hospital and later pronounced dead. It is not clear how the man died, but 2 officers have been placed on administrative leave, and the circumstances around his death are under investigation.
A man whose conviction in a baby's death was thrown out this week could be paid nearly $2 million for the time he spent in prison. Stephen Martinez was released from jail on Tuesday after a judge vacated his murder conviction in the 1998 death of a 4-month-old girl. Prosecutors originally said he was guilty of what was then known as shaken baby syndrome, but experts just recently concluded that the child died of a respiratory infection, not from abuse. Martinez could be compensated for the 27 years he spent locked up as part of a state law.
A court or a jury has to determine that there really was a miscarriage of justice and that they had no role at all, entire innocence, as it relates to the crime in question.
It is not clear at this point how soon attorneys for Martinez could file a request for compensation, or once he does, how long it will take to decide this case.
A homeowner in El Paso County says he's trying to figure out how an Amazon delivery driver opened his garage without his permission. It happened earlier this month in Payton, about 25 miles northeast of Colorado Springs. Michael Johnson says a package was delivered inside of his garage on April 3rd while no one was home. But he says his dogs were home inside that garage and escaped when the driver came in.
I'm chasing down your dog right now, but I got one of them. but if I do catch the other one, you want me to pull him in the backyard?
The other dog was later found with bloodied paws and other injuries. Johnson says a car had hit the animal.
She got hit by a car, and they said her paws were bleeding because when a car hit her impact, a normal thing, a dog plants their feet, and in its skin, it took all of her paw prints off, front and back.
Johnson actually says this isn't the first time he's had a delivery driver open his garage. Amazon offers a smart garage technology device called Amazon Key. It lets drivers into garages to keep packages safe. It is an opt-in program that Johnson says he did not opt into.